You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building, Tariq Nasheed.
Tariq, what's up,
back.
man? What's up, man? What's going on?
How are you, my brother?
I'm good. Where's Yee?
She had to go catch a flight. She's going to Vegas.
Okay.
She's on the Michael Jackson celebration.
Oh, cool.
She's part of that.
Shout out to my sister Yee.
Now, Hidden Colors Season 5 is coming.
Yes, we're working on HC5 right now. That's a real big franchise. The Hidden Colors series is one of the biggest Black history documentary franchises in the world. And we're working on 5 now, and a lot of people are excited about it.
What's that one going to be focusing on?
We're going to focus a lot on African warfare, African resistance, Black resistance. We're going to talk about the warrior class of African society. We're going to talk about how we used to stand up for each other, which we need to get back to doing. So we're also going to focus on different types of warfare, like medical warfare, educational warfare, food warfare. There's so many different attacks that happens to us, so we need to be cognizant of it.
What are you telling people in this generation? You getting them ready for war?
No, just you better. FBI, don't call me. I already get visits from them. No, but we're talking about just defending yourself, because now you got all these crazy groups just launching these guerrilla warfare attacks on us. Mm-hmm. So we need to be in a position where we can at least defend ourselves. We have a right to do that.
They said the FBI visits you?
Oh, all the time. Oh, yeah.
What do you mean visit?
Really?
Visit. They come to my house.
Hey, what's up, Tariq? What you cooking today?
They come to my house and just ask me, am I part of any subversive groups? Say, come to my house.
So you're a black you're a black identity extremist.
Oh yeah, that thing. They haven't labeled me that. Well, they probably got a file on me, but yeah, they've come to my house before, because what I do, I challenge a lot of I challenge these extremist groups, and I'm very vocal about it. So they get worried about. Am I going to influence people the wrong way? Mm-hmm. So that's just part of the game. You got to expect.
No, or actually, will you influence people the right way?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, if you influence people the right way, they think, okay, well, if he can make somebody or a large group of people do something positive, what if he goes another direction with it? Just like with Malcolm X. You remember in the movie Malcolm X, when Malcolm went up there to the police station and brought all those brothers with him?
So that's too much power for one man to have.
Yeah, too much power for one dude to have. If they can do it in a positive way, they can do it in a negative way. That's why they targeted gangs in L.A. They had like something called an alpha list in the early 70s that were targeting certain gang members, because they knew that cats could influence people to do something negative. But they thought, okay, what if they want to start some kind of revolution? Mm-hmm. So we need to neutralize these guys before they become a threat.
You know what I meant to ask? What's your relationship with Angela Rye? Do you have a good relationship? Or
I don't know her, but I think we were following each other, but I think she's cool.
I think she blocked you at one time or something like that.
Angela, really? I don't know that. I didn't know
So
that.
you have a good relationship.
Yeah, I'm cool. I like Angela Rye. I didn't know she blocked me. I don't think she did.
Maybe they just don't.
I think you get them confused with Dr. Boyce Watkins.
No, it was
You sure?
Tariq Nasheed, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't
Not
remember
all
her.
black men look alike. I don't know Tariq Nasheed. We've been up here a couple times.
Yeah, I don't think she. I can see her page, so I'm cool.
Okay.
I never had a beef with her.
Now, African military science.
Yeah.
What is that exactly?
Well, African people, we've always had a defensive structure when it came to blocking out invaders. African society, we never had the mindset of going into somebody else's society and invading them. That was never our thing, because we had everything in Africa. We had everything in abundance. But we did learn how to defend ourselves to a certain degree, but then we got neutralized. We became weakened. So that's what we're going to look at in the new Hidden Colors film. Where did African people and black people go wrong to allow ourselves to be dominated? So these are things we need to talk about.
Are black people too forgiving?
We are. We are too forgiving to people in the dominant white society. We're not forgiving with each other. Like,
hell no. You cancel us. Fuck you. You're done. You cancel.
You step on a black person's shoe, we'll knock you in the head with a damn bottle. But you can go shoot up a church if you white, and the next day you're forgiving them and everybody else. So we do have a slave mentality that we have to get out of our system collectively.
And how do we get out of it? How do we get that out of
We
our system?
learn who we are, because what we are taught is that we were just slaves and we don't know what happened before then. We're told that our identity is contingent upon the dominant white society. So we need to learn who we are, where we came from, and the things that we've done historically. And this is something that's just not taught in the mainstream. This is why Hidden Colors took off, because there was such a void of that information. Nobody really knew what happened in Africa before 1492. People didn't know about the Moors and about these African rulers who ruled in Rome. A lot of folks just don't know history. So this is why it's important for us to tell that. And also, we're miseducated about history. You have movies like Gods of Egypt where all the Africans are white. You know, they got Sigourney Weaver playing a black African queen. It's ridiculous. So we have to learn how to counter that narrative.
Why don't blacks trust other blacks as much as they trust white people?
Because white people taught them that. Understand, we are shadows of white society. We are taught by their actions. White society doesn't trust us. And we learn things from them through osmosis. So if they don't trust us or they don't co-sign us, we don't co-sign us. But if they do co-sign us, we'll jump on it. For example, the Black Panther movie. Black folks were just celebratory of that. Why? Because white society gave us a pass to do that. But when I started doing the Hidden Colors films, there were black people who opposed it. They were like, what is this Hotep nonsense? They didn't even believe it. But if the dominant white society said, hey, that's true, we'll jump on it. So we got to get off that waiting on their approval or anybody's approval before we get on to something.
Wakanda worship was interesting. It was interesting because, I'm a Marvel comic fan, so I love Black Panther, you know what I mean? But that's where it stops. But I'm just talking about Wakanda worship was interesting because it was like all of a sudden everybody embraced this whole Afrocentric lifestyle, but you got this whole continent sitting right there that you could have embraced years before that.
Absolutely. We had to get white approval because we don't want to make people in the dominant white society uncomfortable. We kind of move around we try our best to not make them agitated. This is why a lot of times we don't even say anything about blackness. We start talking in code like them. We start talking about minorities. We start talking about people of color. Urban. Yeah, we don't even like to say black because we think that it's going to make the dominant white society uncomfortable. And we got to get off that. You're not going to get freedom if you can't even speak freedom.
I think a lot of that's due to people haven't seen. I remember the first time I went to Africa, I literally was in Africa. I was on the flight longer than I was in Africa because I was scared. Because what I seen from TV, I was like, I didn't know what to expect. I've been there, 7-8 times since, and I love it. Every time I get a chance to go back to South Africa or Africa, I go. Like, I enjoy it. I don't think people
You were scared, MD?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you why. Because they tell you, when you first go, when I first had to go, they tell you that you got to take all these shots.
Right,
And that if you don't take these shots and you get bit by a mosquito or something out there, you can die.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to get home back to my kids. So I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect.
You didn't think they were going to cannibalize you or nothing?
No,
they were going to make like a little light-skinned stew or something.
No light-skinned stew, mix it up. But this was like 15 years ago. And the fact when they say, well, you got to take these type of shots to protect yourself, I'm like, do I want to go to a place where I have to take shots to protect myself? But I went and like I said, I've been there 8-9 times since, and I love it now.
Absolutely.
But I don't think people have seen that side of Africa, When
I went to Tanzania, I had the same mentality about the shots. I went over there and I was asking people about, hey, man, how bad is malaria over here? And the brother was like, man, we don't have no malaria. We know how to go get some leaves and crunch them up and make a tea, and we'll be rid of malaria in a couple of days. So I'm like, okay, we're getting information about Africa from the dominant society. They always tell us that the Africans are sickly. They're about to die. Yeah. But there are other groups too. There's people from China going over there now doing the same thing. So this is why I say the dominant society. So we're told that they're sickly and they need to be saved. It's that whole thing where they have to go over there and recolonize. So this is why it's important for us to understand what's going on over there and go over there and vibe with the brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of brothers from over there and sisters say that they're trying to colonize Africa again.
Yeah, they are.
White man is.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're doing it in different ways. A lot of those missionaries who go over there, and they got sex trafficking. They got all types of crazy stuff going over there. So it's really, we need to go over there and really vibe and bond with our brothers and sisters.
And what do you think about interracial relationships? Black men dating white women or black women dating white men? What do you think about that in our culture?
I always say it's cool, just don't be a coon. That's the thing, because a lot of times when people date interracially, you'll try to take on the ideology of the white person you're dating, and that's a problem. George Lucas, the Star Wars guy, now he has a black wife, and I love her because this brother, George Lucas, he did the red tail, so she's spitting game at him, making him give up that paper. I think I saw him at the Million Man March. She got this dude breaking off bread. So I respect that. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But when I see people date interracially and then you talk to them and then they start talking that, well, all lives matter. They start bucking their eyes a little bit. I'm like, okay, dude, just chill out a little bit. So you can date whoever you want to date, but just understand the situation you're in and understand that you still need to fight systematic racism.
Now I see you with the Mink Slide shirt on.
Yes.
Why haven't we gotten more Mink Slide, man?
Well, we got an album. We put out an album.
You put out a whole album?
Yeah.
After the video?
Yeah.
I missed the album now.
Man, we put out an album, and it was just something that I was just doing as a hobby in between movies. We put out the Mink Slide album, like an 80s style album called Egyptian Musk. And it debuted at number 12 on the R&B charts.
No!
Yeah.
I missed that, man.
Man, it got on the Billboard charts. I'm like, and so we're getting calls all over for people wanting us to do concerts now. But it's like, real funny lineups. They're like, hey, man, we want you to open for the Sugar Hill Gang and Evelyn Champagne King. I'm like, God damn. So, okay.
Go get that check, man.
Yeah. So the Mink Slide album is actually doing good, surprisingly.
I saw people giving you flack because they were like, how you doing music and you an activist?
Yeah, I can do all that. We can do that. And that's the thing. We got to stop trying to put the activists in a certain box. Because understand, all of us should be activists. Whatever we do in life. If you are a criminal, you need to be an activist. Understand, in black society, you had the numbers runners and all these people. They were still doing positive things in the community. Even the drug dealers, Nicky Barnes and all those dudes would at least give away turkeys. So we still got to have a mentality that we're going to look out for the community.
Now, you fired your co-host live on air?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Explain that.
That was a long time. Well, a couple of years ago, there was some insubordination, and I had to fire somebody live on air. But, it's all cool. Yeah. So we got a new crew of co-hosts, so we're doing pretty good.
Are you totally against black politicians? Like when you see somebody like Andrew Gillum's, become the Democratic nominee in Florida, Stacey Abrams in Georgia, are you totally against black politicians?
No, not at all. I like politics on a local level. And the brother down in Florida, he's a good prospect, and I told people to vote for the brother. I let people know, but. One thing, I keep seeing that they're talking about his blackness. Oh, black politician, the first black governor, the first black potential governor. That's cool, but is there a black agenda? Because, see, we like to talk up black to get the black voters motivated, but we never talk about a black agenda. And I looked at his agenda. I see immigration. I see, all these other things, but I don't see anything that's specific to black society. So we're going to have to say, okay, what are you going to do for us specifically?
Well, he got prison reform.
Right.
$1 billion he wants to pump into the public school systems in Florida, education in Florida.
Stand your ground law.
Stand your ground law. That's $15 minimum wage.
Okay.
I mean, there's things that affect black and brown
Right.
people.
See, but the thing is, we got to get him to get real specific sometimes. Sometimes we assume that people use these terms like stand your ground and all that, and it's going to trickle down to black society, but they never say it. We know immigration is very specific to the Hispanic community, so we got to stop being afraid to put our politicians under the fire and make them specifically dedicate something to us.
What do you mean when you say specific?
Just say, hey, look, for black society, this is what we're going to do. There's nothing wrong with that. We're afraid to say blackness because we think that, okay, we're going to marginalize all the other groups. So we got to stop being afraid to speak on blackness. That's a benign neglect policy that started in the 60s. After the civil rights movement, the politicians had something called benign neglect where they would not mention black anymore. So they don't have to do anything for black people. So they would use terms like minority. We assume that it would be for black people, but anybody's a minority now. Hispanics a minority. Do you know pedophiles are minorities now?
No.
I swear to God, pedophiles call themselves minorities because they're trying to decriminalize pedophilia. If you notice now, they have these seminars where they talk about pedophilia. It's a lifestyle choice. They're really trying to decriminalize.
They were born that way.
They were, exactly.
I said that 3-4 years ago that was going to happen. I think it's only a matter of time.
They're doing it. They're having seminars and they're really trying to soften people's stance on pedophilia.
That's crazy.
It's real crazy. And pedophiles, they look at themselves as minorities. They say that they're minorities now. So I back up off that minority word.
And they're trying to normalize it in such a way. Like you see, there's been 2 politicians who've come out and say, hey, we were pedophiles.
Absolutely.
We're pedophiles.
And people still voted for them.
Still voted for them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think biological warfare is still happening to black people?
Absolutely, man.
Explain what biological warfare is.
Biological warfare is where they use chemicals. They use vaccines. We know that vaccines have an adverse effect specifically on black boys. It causes autism. That's been proven. We know that different types of experiments have been done on black people using biological warfare. There's a great book called Medical Apartheid that breaks this stuff down, how they would use certain things and do experiments in prisons. They do things with spraying chemicals. They have chemicals that can turn the male gender into a female gender. They tested these chemicals out on frogs, and frogs would turn from male to female. They got all types of crazy stuff out there.
What you mean from male to female?
They got chemicals. I want you to look this up.
Okay.
That they can put on frogs. Well, they've been testing on frogs that they put on fruit. I forgot the name of the actual chemical, but it will turn a male frog into a female frog. And they use this on fruit and all types of foods.
So you
remember back in the day when you could kiss a frog and turn it into a prince? Yeah. You don't remember that? Oh.
So you saying that you possibly believe that they are using this chemical on men?
Yeah, I believe so. I remember back in the day in jail, they had something called saltpeter, something like that, where it would kill your aphrodisiac. They said they would put this stuff in the foods in
Oh,
prison.
to kill the sex drive so they wouldn't sexually assault each other.
Right. So that's been a rumor in the prison system for a long time. And, a lot of that stuff is true. If they're doing stuff like that, they're doing other stuff.
So turning men into more feminine.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. And soy does that. And it's been documented that soy, it increases estrogen in the body. So there's a lot of crazy stuff out there.
Soy?
Yeah. Soy.
I'm gonna look this up, man.
Man, this stuff is heavy.
I'm gonna do my homework, man.
And do your homework on those chemtrails and all that stuff that they spray around neighborhoods. I remember they would spray chemtrails around black neighborhoods, and everybody started acting a damn fool. There's a lot of stuff out there that we don't know about.
What did you think about Omarosa exposing Trump? My man Van Lathan asked me, is it possible Omarosa could have been the spook who sat by the door?
Right. Omarosa is an opportunist. Let's be very clear.
Yes, she's trying to sell books.
She's trying to sell books. And understand, Omarosa, she's only exposing them now because they threw her out. Omarosa was totally fine with everything going on in that White House.
100%.
As long as she was going to keep her job. She knew that there was a potential that they would get rid of her, so she just got some insurance for herself. And I believe in giving Omarosa a day pass, meaning that, okay, I like the fact that she's exposing these guys, but coming back into black society as a trustworthy person, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because all she's trying to do is sell books anyway.
Absolutely.
So it's not even like she's trying to get back into the black community. She just
Absolutely
trying to sell books.
She's trying to come up. It's all about Omarosa. But I'm glad she's exposing those guys, but I don't trust her worth a damn.
I don't even know if it did anything, though. I think Trump is that Teflon.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered. It didn't bother him. He keeps keeping it moving.
Like, if you heard a tape of Trump saying the word nigga, so what?
Yeah, that's going to get him more voters. That's going to get more votes. Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday. They said that he's like, it's like somebody covered in crap. And if they're already covered in crap, throwing more crap on them ain't going to do anything. You're just blending in with the crap that's already there.
Now, back to the vaccinations.
Yeah.
So you don't believe black kids should have vaccinations?
Absolutely not. If you have a black child, especially under the age of 2, do not get them vaccinated. Do not get them. It's very, very dangerous. Those vaccines are extremely dangerous.
Funny that you say that. It's almost like they force you to. Like, I'm thinking right now, my son went to football camp, and it was like he cannot go to camp unless he's vaccinated.
In California, it's mandatory. You can't go to school unless you're vaccinated.
Right.
Yeah, so you have to get a doctor to sign off on it. But I would say keep your children at home. If they're going to force you to do it, just don't send them to school. It's that dangerous. Those vaccines are horrible.
So none of your kids has
no.
ever been
A couple before, until I knew what was happening. But my youngest son, Mateo, we got him exempt.
So what's the alternatives? Like, what do you do?
You have to try to homeschool your kids if that's the case. But don't at a young age, do not give your children vaccines. It's very, very dangerous what they're putting in them.
Is your youngest son good?
He's good. Yeah, he's good. Oh, yeah, he's schooling again. He's going to be 2 next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of the state of black culture right now, just in general?
Black culture, with black culture, we've let ratchetness become black culture, and that's something that we're going to have to change. Black culture is love and hip-hop. Black culture is basketball wives. We got to stop letting the underbelly of society be the representative of black culture. We have to make knowledge of self become black culture. We have to take control of what black culture is going to be because we let the dominant society dictate what our culture is going to be because they elevate certain things. And the things that they elevate usually work against us. Even with the music, even back in the day when we controlled hip hop, even though we would talk about gangster stuff or whatever, but cats would also talk about certain things that were constructive, like the whole self-destruction movement. Mm-hmm. The hip-hop community.
We're all in the same game.
Yeah, we're all in the same game. Cats took it upon themselves to say, hey, look, we're not going to promote people smoking crack. We're not going to promote drugs. We'll talk about that gangster stuff, but we're going to put these records out to be an antithesis to that. Now, everybody's on Molly, cocaine, crack, everything now, and it's glorified. So that has an adverse effect.
I'm still trying to see where the disconnect happened, because even in the 90s, you had positive programming on television, whether it was the Cosby Show, Different World, even stuff like Martin, Living Single, like it was positive depictions
lot more,
of black people. The music was more positive. It just seemed like at some point it was a conscious effort to say change everything.
And that happened.
They'll say it was viewership.
Yeah, it happened in the early 90s. Understand, if you look at the movies in the early 90s, we got Boys in the Hood, we got Menace to Society, we got those, the New Jack Cities, which were great movies, but we were just getting that back to back to back, and that's where they were putting the money. The studios. So we were told, okay, this is what you're supposed to be. This is how you're supposed to get down. So people started trying to chase the money.
Chase the wave. Right?
Yeah, they're trying to chase that wave. So, we took it in a direction we shouldn't have taken it in.
Do you ever fear for your life, Tariq? 'Cause I see you get a lot of death threats and stuff.
Yeah. You know, they came up in my house a couple of months ago.
Who?
Who's they?
There was a white supremacist group called the police to my house. They called and made a false threat. They call it swatting, but it was an assassination attempt. Because
Really?
you know, people get killed by that stuff. They called my house. They called the police, and they had a very elaborate story that there were bombs in my house and all. And it was on the news.
SWAT team came in.
They saw everything. They came in the house jumping over my kids' toys. They brought me out the house at gunpoint. The news helicopters were there. So, yeah, and I think that the LAPD kind of was working with those guys. But, yeah, it was all on the news. I was live on TV. They pulling me out my house in my pajamas.
What time of day was it?
This was like 9 in the morning.
And your son was home?
Yeah, my other kids were at school, but my youngest son was at home. My wife was there. They pulled us out at gunpoint, cuffed me. This all on the news. They were,
And they said sorry after.
See, I don't like.
And that's another thing. This is a way they can get up in people's houses without a warrant. They can say, hey, well, somebody called in a threat, so we need to come on up in here. And we don't need a warrant. So it was real intense.
You didn't
Do
get
they
any
kick in
charges,
the door?
anything?
No. They were about to kick my door in, but
Okay.
they at least they were on a bullhorn calling outside. Hey, come on outside. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And then they called me. They called my phone, and I thought it was a joke. They were like, this Mr. Nasheed. I said, yeah. You need to come outside. The police are outside. We heard there's a bomb in your house, and you got guns, and somebody's held hostage. And I thought it was I hung up on them, and they kept calling. I'm like, I'm about to go down and make me some oatmeal. So I'm hearing helicopters, and I'm like, what the hell is helicopters outside? And I look outside, and there's a bunch of guns pointed in my glass door. So I go outside, and they cuffed me, put me in a car, and went in the house, and then said, sorry.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, that clearly didn't make you stop talking.
not at all. It didn't scare me at all, you know. And when I was out there doing the media came out interviewing me. And what's interesting, when they were interviewing me, they were trying to get me to say that this wasn't racial. They were like, Mr. Nasheed, this happened to you. You don't think this had any kind of racial element, do you? I'm like, well, if I was white, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't air that part, by the way. Yeah.
Well, how did your wife feel?
She got real nervous. Because I'm not really that scared, but she gets real nervous about it because she'd be like, oh, you shouldn't say that. We're going to get threats. Because people call and threaten the house all the time. But my wife, she walks around the house strapped. Yeah, so.
Did she ever say, stop sticking up for these niggas? They don't deserve it. They don't.
No, she doesn't. She likes me to tone it down some because sometimes when I go in, she's like, "Oh Lord, don't do that. I don't want these people calling my phone, threatening me." You know. So yeah, we work it out though. We get security at the house sometimes. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us.
When
and stopping
Hidden Colors
through,
5
man.
dropping.
Yeah, Hidden Colors 5. That's going to drop early next year. We got the Indiegogo call to action for it. People can go to Indiegogo, type in Hidden Colors 5, and you can go to hiddencolorsfilm.com. Go to minkslide.com. Y'all got to get the album.
I got to go get the album.
Yes,
for real.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
The reason people should donate because then you can really tell the story you want to tell.
Absolutely. We have to control our narratives. We have to.
All right. Well, it's Tariq Nasheed. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.